The station announced itself the way all important places did, with light, noise, and the quiet certainty that you were slightly out of place. Elias had learned to live inside that feeling. He moved through the transit ring with practiced neutrality, eyes forward, expression tuned to harmless. The air shimmered with layered gravity fields, translation waves, and the faint electrical taste of 1,000 species pretending not to notice one another. He paused near a commerce node, waiting for a corridor to realign. A group of amphibious traders argued cheerfully with a vending construct that refused to accept anything except 3 currencies and a philosophical apology. Elias smiled to himself. Some things, at least, were universal. That was when the pressure changed. It wasn't physical, not exactly, more like the sensation of a rule being quietly enforced. Conversations softened, movements adjusted. Even the station's ambient hum dropped half a register, like an audience realizing something important was about to happen. Elias looked up before he could stop himself. She walked through the crowd as if it parted out of respect rather than design. Her posture was calm, unhurried, confident enough to border on arrogant. At first, she looked human, dark hair pulled back, features composed, eyes focused ahead. Then the light caught her ears. Long, elegant, extending past her hairline, marked with faint luminous filaments that pulsed in subtle rhythm. They angled slightly backward, alert, attuned. Authority, Elias thought, the dangerous kind that didn't need to announce itself. He realized he was staring about half a second too late. Her gaze snapped to him, sharp and immediate, like a blade finding its mark. The space between them seemed to tighten. "You," she said, her voice carried by a translation field that hummed with restrained power. "You dare look at me." The question echoed louder than it should have. Elias felt eyes turn, feel the collective intake of breath from beings who had just witnessed a social transgression they wanted no part of. His brain offered several appropriate responses: apology, deference, silence. All of them tasted wrong. Instead, something stubborn and unhelpfully honest rose up. He smiled. "Only because you're beautiful," he said then, realizing too late that clarification was necessary, added, "an alien." The translation field froze. For a heartbeat, nothing moved. Then her ears flared, light racing along their length in a pattern Elias instinctively recognized as not good. Somewhere behind him, someone dropped a case of biosamples and swore in 3 languages. "You mock me," she said slowly. "No," Elias replied, surprising himself with how steady his voice was. "I panic with sincerity. It's a flaw." Her eyes narrowed. She stepped closer, and the air around her seemed to carry weight, a subtle dominance field that pressed against his senses, urging him to lower his gaze, soften his posture, acknowledge hierarchy. He didn't, not out of defiance, out of refusal. "I apologize if I crossed a boundary," he continued. "But the compliment stands, I meant it." The dominance field faltered, not collapsing but recalibrating. That alone drew a murmur from the surrounding crowd. "You are human," she said. "Painfully," Elias agreed. "You understand nothing of our customs." "Also true," he said, "but I'm learning, slowly, with mistakes." Her ears angled forward now, curiosity threading through the warning glow. "In my culture, admiration without permission is a challenge." Elias considered that. "In mine," he said, "it's sometimes just honesty escaping before common sense can catch it." That earned him a reaction he hadn't expected. Confusion, quickly masked. She circled him once, studying the way he stood, the lack of visible submission. Elias resisted the urge to turn with her, focusing instead on breathing and not saying anything catastrophically worse. "You should be afraid," she said. "I am," he admitted. "I just don't think it should decide everything." Silence settled again, different this time. Not sharp, curious. The station seemed to lean in. Her gaze lingered on his face, then shifted, as if looking past him at something less tangible. "You do not seek dominance," she said. "No," Elias replied. "I'm terrible at it. Too much maintenance." A sound escaped her short, startled. The translator hesitated, then rendered it as restrained amusement. Her ears flicked in embarrassment before she composed herself again. "This interaction is irregular," she said. "Story of my life." She stopped directly in front of him, close enough that he could feel the hum of her field brushing against his skin. "State your name." "Elias," he said, "and yours if I'm still alive in a minute." Another pause, then quietly she spoke her name. The translator struggled, approximating it into a sequence of tones that felt more like music than language. Elias repeated it badly. Her ears flattened in immediate offense. That was unacceptable. "I warned you," he said. "My accent is a crime." Against her will, humor flickered again. This time she didn't hide it fast enough. "You will come with me," she said. "That sounds ominous," Elias noted. "Yes. Fair enough." She turned and walked away. After a brief internal debate that ended with the conclusion that his day was already ruined anyway, Elias followed. As they moved deeper into restricted corridors, fields parted, systems adjusted, and Elias became acutely aware that he had crossed something invisible but significant. He didn't know what would happen next. Punishment, evaluation, cultural incident reports thick enough to stun small animals, but as he walked behind her, he noticed something else. She had slowed her pace, not for control, for him. And Elias understood, with a quiet thrill, that by choosing honesty over fear, he had not lowered himself. He had been seen. The corridor they entered did not exist on public maps. Elias knew this because the station liked to announce such things with helpful signage, and there were none. The walls shifted color as they passed, responding to her presence with quiet obedience. He wondered, not for the first time, what it felt like to walk through the universe and have it agree with you. "You are calm," she said without looking back. "I'm improvising," Elias replied. "If I stop, panic might catch up." "That is not calm. It's the budget version." She slowed slightly, the faint glow along her ears pulsing in patterns that made his translator hesitate. "Most humans respond to summons with fear," she said, "or ambition." "I've tried both," Elias said. "They're overrated." They reached a chamber that sealed itself once they entered, the air smoothing out, as if relieved to contain only two variables. Light gathered in soft planes, and a lattice of symbols hovered briefly before dissolving. Elias stood where he was, hands loose at his sides, deliberately not touching anything that looked expensive or explosive. "You understand," she said, turning to face him, "that you violated a cultural threshold." "I suspected," he said. "You have the posture of someone whose patience is optional." Her mouth twitched despite herself. "Explain your intent." "My intent," Elias considered. "At the time, to answer honestly, right now, to not make things worse." "You did not lower your eyes." "No," he agreed. "You did not apologize immediately." "I prefer meaningful apologies," he said. "The kind that don't come preloaded." Her gaze sharpened. "You challenged dominance without attempting to seize it." "That sounds like a terrible business model," Elias said. "I don't want what you have. I just didn't want to pretend you weren't impressive." The word hung between them. The chamber's systems adjusted, recalculating threat levels that no longer quite applied. "In my culture," she said slowly, "to be admired is to be measured. To be measured is to be claimed." "And if I don't want to claim you?" Elias asked, her ears angled forward, luminous lines shifting to a thoughtful hue. "Then your behavior lacks a category." "That's been a theme." A translucent interface bloomed to life beside her, spilling streams of data and probability curves. Elias glanced at it, then back at her. "Am I being analyzed?" "Yes." "Should I stand differently?" "No." "Your inconsistency is the variable." "I feel special," he said. She ignored the comment, studying the projections. "You do not respond to authority fields as expected." "I feel them," Elias said. "I just don't accept them automatically." "That is dangerous." "Only to bad systems." Her eyes snapped to his. For a moment, the room hummed, a tension spike sharp enough to taste. Then she exhaled slowly, and the hum softened. "You speak as if you understand power," she said. "I understand people who lean on it too hard," Elias replied. "It makes them brittle." The interface flickered, then dimmed. She dismissed it with a sharp gesture. "You should fear me," she said quietly. "I know," Elias said, "but fear doesn't seem like what you want right now." That stopped her. Her ears stilled completely, light fading to a subdued glow. "What do you think I want, human?" Elias didn't answer immediately. He watched her, really watched her, not as an authority figure, not as a threat, but as someone carrying expectation like armor. "I think," he said carefully, "you're tired of everyone already knowing how they're supposed to react to you." The silence that followed wasn't empty, it was full. "You presume much," she said. "I do," he admitted. "It's another flaw." She turned away, walking toward the viewport that revealed a slow drift of ships and stars beyond. "I was trained to command before I learned to speak," she said. Every interaction is weighted, calculated. Sounds exhausting, Elias said. Have you tried being confusing instead? That earned him a look over her shoulder. You are confusing. See, natural talent. She faced him again, and this time there was no dominance field, no pressure, just presence. Your kind is often dismissed, she said. Too loud, too fragile, too eager to matter. We try, Elias said, sometimes too hard. And yet, she continued, you stood in front of me without shrinking or posturing. I didn't want to lie, he said simply. Something shifted then, not dramatically, not with light or sound, but with a subtle recalibration that Elias felt more than saw. The chamber's ambient systems adjusted, as if accepting a new equilibrium. You will remain under observation, she said. Reasonable, Elias replied. I tend to wander. But, she added, you will not be corrected. He blinked. That feels important. It is. She stepped closer, not invading his space, but closing the distance enough that the air between them felt intentional. You have introduced a variable into our models, she said. One that suggests dominance is not the only axis of respect. Elias smiled, softer now. Told you, bad systems. Her ears flicked, unmistakably amused. You will leave now. Ah, he said. The part where I'm escorted out dramatically. No escort, she said. No record. That's generous. Consider it, she said, a test. He nodded, turning toward the exit as the door irised open. Before he stepped through, he paused. For what it's worth, he said, the compliment still stands. Her voice followed him, quiet but certain. I know. As the door sealed behind him and the corridor lights returned to their neutral rhythm, Elias felt something unfamiliar settle into place. Not triumph, not fear, confidence. And he suspected, with a small, disbelieving laugh, that somewhere behind him, an entire culture was about to have a very uncomfortable conversation. The station did not return to normal after that. Elias noticed it first in small ways. Security fields hesitated an extra fraction of a second before scanning him. Translation nodes lagged, then recalibrated. A cultural advisory drone followed him for 3 corridors, before realizing it had no protocol for human, who accidentally destabilized authority dynamics, and powering down in embarrassment. People looked at him differently, too, not with fear, with curiosity. That was worse. He was halfway through repairing a malfunctioning grav lift, one that insisted on stopping at floors that no longer existed when the summons arrived. Not an alarm, not a command. A request routed politely through 3 neutral systems. He wiped his hands on his jacket and sighed. Of course. This chamber was different from the last. Open, circular, layered with slow-moving holographic constellations that adjusted as he stepped inside. She stood at the center, alone, her ears relaxed, light flowing along them in a calm, steady rhythm. No dominance field pressed against him. That absence felt deliberate. You came, she said. I was curious, Elias replied. Also, the message didn't threaten me, which felt like progress. She inclined her head. It was intentional. A projection bloomed between them, showing overlapping cultural models, hers, humanity's, and a growing space of interference patterns where assumptions collided. Elias leaned closer, squinting. That's messy, he said. Yes. Is that my fault? Largely. He winced. I should apologize. No, she said. You should understand. She gestured, and the projection shifted, highlighting points where dominance hierarchies failed to account for voluntary respect. Your behavior created a paradox, she said. You acknowledged worth without seeking leverage. Our systems interpret that as instability. Sounds about right, Elias said. I do that to furniture too. Despite herself, she smiled. This time she didn't hide it. My people are debating whether your action was defiance or ignorance, she continued. Some believe you insulted me. And the others, they believe you freed me from an expectation I did not know I resented. That landed harder than Elias expected. He straightened, the humor softening into something quieter. I didn't mean to do anything like that. I know, she said. That is why it matters. The projection faded. Silence settled, comfortable now, earned. You have been changed, she said, studying him. Your posture, your voice, you no longer minimize yourself. Elias thought about that. About how he hadn't once apologized for existing today. I guess I got tired of pretending smallness was safety. She nodded, and I am learning that authority does not diminish when it is not enforced. A low chime echoed through the chamber. External systems activated, diplomatic channels aligning. Elias recognized the signs of something official about to happen. "I am to address my council," she said. "And yours." Elias blinked. "Me. You are the variable," she said simply. "You will stand with me." He laughed, sharp and nervous. "You realize I once caused an incident by complimenting the wrong footwear. Then you are prepared." They stood side by side as the chamber opened to a wider network. Faces and forms